Hello and welcome to All Things Foster, a place for coffee, connection, and community. We've got Rod and Anna Freeland on the podcast with us. I'm super excited to hear their story. But before we get to that, this episode is sponsored by Belmar Bakery, Amarillo's family-owned, full-service bakery since 1965. Conveniently located on Bell Street, they're open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and offer complimentary consultations and tastings for custom cakes, cookies, pies, and breads. Whether you're planning a wedding or a corporate event, or just craving something sweet, their talented decorators can create one-of-a-kind designs for birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and even theme parties. With over 1,700 cookie shapes available, they handle thousands of custom cookies each year, perfect for any event. Need 500 pies or 3,000 cookies? No problem. Belmar specializes in high-volume orders and guarantees timely delivery. They're fully licensed, insured, and inspected, and their goodies are all handmade, fresh, daily, using quality ingredients. So support local and satisfy your sweet tooth. Call Belmar Bakery at 806-355-0141 or visit belmarbakery.com to schedule your free consultation and tasting and make your next celebration even sweeter. And guys, from a personal perspective, I say this all the time, but Jennifer and her team over at Belmar are just super supportive of the organization. And so if you haven't tried them, you just need to try them. Have you guys been to Belmar?
No, we have not.
But you're making me hungry.
I'm telling you. So now you need to go over there and get a cookie, because I'm telling you, my mom absolutely loved their pumpkin pies. And so they moved to Indiana and for about 10 years. And every Thanksgiving, my mom would call her and ask him, like, okay, will y'all ship me some pies? And they're like, well, we really don't do that. She's like, come on. So they would ship her some pumpkin pies because they were so good, but my mom just craved their pumpkin pies, and so anyways, they're great, and Jennifer's just great folks. So welcome, Anna and Rod. So just give us a little bit. I know you're kind of new to the area, right? You guys moved here from California, right?
Mm-hmm. A couple years ago.
Okay, so. So you guys have 6 kiddos, right?
Yes.
6 kids. And 2 of those are biological, right?
Yes.
And the other 4 are adopted.
Correct.
And where are they adopted from?
3 from China and 1 domestically.
1 domestically. Okay. So what's the kind of the timeline on things? Where do they flesh out? What are the kids' ages from? Youngest and oldest?
Our biological kids are 25 and 22.
Cool.
And then adopted kids, 16, almost 15, and 2 13-year-olds, not twins, but 6 weeks apart.
Wow.
So almost like twins.
Almost, yeah, but basically, for all intents and purposes, they're twins. They're just not biological twins.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So what started this desire to adopt? Where did that come from?
It came from Anna.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think she was the one that mentioned it to me. There was a time in my life when she mentioned it, and I was not open to it at the time, due to family circumstances.
Yeah. So where did your heart for adoption come from?
Well, we started out like, young married, and we're going to have this many kids, or this is our dream and stuff. And we wanted more kids, but I ended up having just really hard pregnancies. And so after 2, I was like, oh man. But then just as the years went by, I still had like the desire for more kids and just, what's God leading us to do. And so we just looked at all the different ways to adopt, domestically or internationally or with the foster care system, and just kind of after we prayed about it and he was more on board, just felt that that's how God was leading us to grow our family.
Sweet. So why why China? I mean, how long ago was that? because you said the oldest is 16, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
he-
he was
the-
almost 2. So
He was
When you
23
adopted.
our
months
first
when we
14
adopted.
years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was our first adoption. He was 23 months at the time.
Okay. So this is, I mean, you guys had some time. So, because this, what I'm thinking is there was a period where there was a whole bunch of kiddos getting adopted from China, and it's probably around that time. Was there something about China? Was there, what led to the decision to?
To purposely adopt from China?
Yeah.
So I can't speak for Anna, but for me, I had been to China in high school.
Oh wow.
Back. I'm older, so that was in 1988, 6 months before the Tiananmen Square incident, which a lot of people that are younger not
I
familiar
have
with.
no
but,
idea. Sure.
I had always had an interest just in general of the Asian cultures. I mean, they're all different per se, but I'd always had an interest in that. So when I was on board with adopting, we actually went to a informational meeting for the foster system, through the county and stuff. I wanted to be open about all our options.
Sure.
And financially, that was probably was very doable. And then we discussed. I found an agency and discussed the international adoption and quite a bit more, but that was basically where we sat down, and she literally put a map in front of us and said, "These are the countries this agency adopts from. Would you have a problem from adopting from this country or this country?" And we basically said yes, no, narrowed it down that way. And then she asked, like, "What are your interests?" I said, "Well, me personally, I have an interest in Asian culture." Now, I understood that was going to change once I brought that child home.
Yeah.
But I'm supportive of that ethnic group.
Yeah,
in a
absolutely.
sense. And I said, for me, it had been Asian culture, specifically China, but that's because I had been there.
Yeah.
We also, you have South Korea that you can adopt from. So I'm like, I'm fine with China. But then that obviously brings up a lot of questions from those around you, or family. They don't look like you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why specifically, so.
Yeah.
And for me, I was inspired a lot by Christian singer Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh, yeah.
They adopted from China,
Yep.
and I'd been a huge fan of his since I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like in high school. And so that, and then my closest friend still today, they had adopted domestically, but had a really close friend that had adopted, and then just kind of in our community, and we homeschool, and kind of the homeschool community, it kind of became almost a popular thing to adopt and to adopt from China, and a lot of people also doing, adopting from the foster care system. So that's kind of, it was just kind of around us, I think.
Yeah.
We saw it in the communities we were in.
Sweet. So, and again, you guys go into as much detail or as little as you want. What was the process like? His name's right. So your oldest, when you adopted him, you said he was 23 months old. What was the whole adoption process like? I mean, when I'm real familiar with the foster care process of going and getting licensed and the home studies and this, that, and the other thing. What's the process like on an international adoption? Is it kind of the same or different?
It's very different.
It's vastly different. It's also going to depend on the laws of the country that
Right.
that the parent is adopting from. Now, currently, China has I believe, a year or two ago, has closed
They
to
ceased
adoption.
yeah.
Russia was closed. I have two
today
nieces from Russia. That
totally
closed years
different.
ago. But my brother's experience from adopting from Russia was vastly different than ours from
Yeah.
China.
Right.
A lot of that difference has to come from the laws of that, quote, host country where
Yeah.
the child is coming from.
Right.
It was eye-opening, though. I mean, we had biological children. You go to the hospital, you have them, bring them home. This one is a pile of paperwork for 8 months, and I need you to sign here. I need to have this notarized. I need this signed. You got to redo this. I've got people coming over, social workers. We're doing backgrounds. You're going to the police department to be fingerprinted. There's a whole process to make sure, you're not a criminal. I need this money. I need this much by tomorrow. Wait a minute. So.
Yeah. Just so y'all know, and I don't, the listeners aren't going to know this, but I served on the board of an international adoption agency that was based here. It was called Little Miracles. And then they have since closed up. But anyway, so I have like a smidge of understanding, but a lot of trainings and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Books we had to read and classes.
The adoption agency would have certain requirements that they want to meet for their agency. And then obviously we're in the U.S., so you have Department of State has certain requirements that have to be met for you to actually legally bring in a child from another state, another country. So you have to meet those requirements. And then the host country, specifically China, has certain requirements you have to make too, and those have to come together. It's a long process.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long it took us to. Some went a little bit faster from when we first walked in and said, "Hey,
About
we're
a year
going to
and a half.
adopt." Some of them went faster than others, but it also just depends on the timeline. I think that the whole from first signing that we wanted to adopt to actually bringing him home was about a year and a half.
Wow, that's a long process. Now, and it was him, right? You guys had started with him, and
Yes,
the whole process,
yes.
start to finish, for specifically. So
Yeah,
from identifying,
I can't speak to all countries on their process. At least with China, you were specific to, would you like a boy, would you like a girl? And then typically you'd have to be open to certain medical needs that were at least noticed.
Yeah.
For instance, so you would say, I would accept a child with this condition, but maybe you're not open or willing to accept one of a different condition. So they try to narrow it down for you, but you are what they call matched. So you're matched with the child. You'll get a picture, a file on them, usually a couple of months or so before. And then, there's a little process where that goes, where you're accepting that child, and China's going to say, okay, I'm going to match that file with that child with yours, so that that child will be yours. And then you go through the process of then you'll go there. China, they have it set up so once there is no court system there.
Wow.
You're not going before a judge there or here. So the way China was operating was you would go there, you'd get the child, had some formalities there. Once you actually touched back on U.S. soil, didn't matter which airport you went into, once that plane touches down, even if you had connecting flights, that child is legally a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
Still had to go through customs with all your paperwork, but our children became U.S. citizens in the different cities. One was in Seattle, and I think two were in San Francisco.
Wow.
And then they're a U.S. citizens, so there was no court proceedings here to affirm that.
Wow.
But that's different in other countries.
So one of the things that I know was really challenging for like I said, the international adoption agency that I was on the board for was like paperwork, like getting actual birth dates and birth records and stuff like that. Especially because they were doing them all over the world, but they did African and this and that and the other thing, and just actually getting the information was a huge undertaking a lot of times. I wouldn't think China would have been the same way, but was there any of that?
Well, all the kids in China, it's illegal to place your child for adoption, so all the kids are abandoned. So yeah, we don't. So China has to go through that process of trying to find the birth parents, and then just declaring them abandoned. So as far as that goes, we didn't have any records except from the orphanage.
And I was going to ask, he was in an orphanage.
And you're given a
Well,
birth
two of
date,
our kids were actually, they had started kind of a foster care program in China. So a couple of our kids were in foster care, and one came straight from an orphanage.
Right. So I don't know if y'all are from you probably would. There's a book that I read, something about the stars. Gosh, what was the name of that book? You know what I'm talking about? The guy
I think so.
he's
I can't
he's
remember.
from England, and he basically helped China start a foster care program. And I have the book at home. I should have looked at it. I didn't think about it,
It
but
sounds familiar. We read so many books, but he found somebody else that kind of had a connection to. They were from Australia, expats, and then started taking in because she was an MD, so they started caring for medically fragile children that the orphanage just couldn't care for. So. And that was The Hills. What was the name of their book?
well,
I remember that.
they didn't write the book. Somebody wrote about them, and that
yeah.
they didn't write the book. If the book name comes to me, I'll.
Anyways.
I can't remember how I ended up with a copy of it. I listened to something. It was a podcast or something that this guy was on talking about, because, like I said, he lived in China and helped run an orphanage for like a long time, and then started having conversations, and really was one of the people that was really instrumental in just getting a foster care system up and running. I'm curious about that. But anyway.
To answer your question about the birth dates, what we know about them, whether it's accurate or inaccurate, would come from the orphanage. Since, like Anna said, it's illegal, and it's still illegal. You just can't adopt either. But it was illegal to place your children for adoption in China. They basically had the law that if you had the child, they were yours. And monetary system and their cultural beliefs, millions of kids are in orphanages. Now, they're state-run orphanages because they knew they were there. These parents didn't have anywhere to place them if they felt they couldn't raise the child. So a lot of what you would get from the orphanage is when the child would come in. Sometimes their birth date would be, I believe at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had a systematic way, is if the child was found in like March, they would give them a certain date or so, just because that was a way of identifying,
something,
some kind of a system. They also, I believe, did that too with the names, that they, like every boy that was brought in, like in the month of March, was given a certain name within a range, because it was a systematic way of keeping, being able to, what am I trying to say?
Identify
the child, because there's so many.
Yeah.
Others, we had a note that was left with the child. Like one of ours, it was very, very detailed letter from the parents explaining the full name, the actual birth date, why they felt they could not raise that child. So we have a lot of information on one that the others.
Not a lot, but more than the others.
More than the others.
We
a
know,
little bit.
we take it for what it is, but we believe the birth date that was written was accurate. We believe that the birth name was accurate. That's what that child was referred to. We do know why they.
Now, I seem to recall, and I could be wrong on this, but hasn't China stopped the one-child policy?
They did.
Yes.
I believe it was probably 6-7 years ago they actually stopped that. Up to that point, they had the one-child policy. We're all familiar with the big cities, 12, 13, 14 million people in a city in China, but believe it or not, a lot of China is rural. So you have a lot of small cities, a lot of small communities, and it's a lot of farming. And so the government would shy away from the small communities if a family member had, not always, but generally would shy away from enforcement if they had one or more kids but that was looked at as an economic reason because they could raise the child to help with the farming,
Right.
and helps the community.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it was not enforced outside of large cities, but as a culture, as a people, they tend to not have large families,
Right.
even when it was legal prior.
Mm.
And due to that, but that the detriment of that one child policy is brought to now there's a discrepancy between the males and
Yeah, it's
the
something
females.
like 100
And so
million more men than women or something like that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a huge
and they,
number.
And then
Bad,
they
yeah.
they tried to change that. I might be going, but I thought when they did change the one child policy, they might have changed it to like now you can have two, and I believe now they've. Correct me if I'm wrong. They might have gotten rid of it with that. Now they're open to however many you want. You're still gonna have some confines within that though.
Yeah.
They still have cultural beliefs, so it hasn't, for the most part, helped. I think because they were so far behind in getting more females that it's
Right.
going to
Yeah.
take a while before they get of marriage age.
Generation. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I could be wrong, but I think that actually India now has more people than China because as a direct result of
I think they do, or if not, they're very, very close. Yeah,
Yeah.
those two are the most populated
right.
countries.
Yeah.
And
So you guys,
huge need in both. Well, in every country,
yeah,
we have a need here in the U.S.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
So you guys went. How long were you in country when you got your oldest? Because you have to go there and stay for a while, right?
You're there for we were there for no longer than 2 and just slightly over
weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay.
Our agency, there's a week you have to be there. There's a formality you have to go through in the capital. May not be the city they're from or the region they're from, but you'll meet in the capital of the province that the child is from, and there's some formalities you have to go through there, and then you go through a U.S. Customs procedure there as well. They always had an option that you can take usually like 2 or 3 or 4 day tour of areas within China prior to getting the child.
Yeah.
And we did that on a couple of occasions. So that placed us within the country for like just over 2 weeks, maybe just shy of 2.5 weeks.
Well.
Wasn't long. Not like we're there for a couple of months or anything.
Right. Yeah, but you're there for a little while.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow. Man, that's so cool. How is it different parenting? And I'm not talking about just adopted versus biological. I'm talking culturally different. Or have you noticed much of a challenge in that? I mean, they were pretty young, or at least the oldest was. So I mean, is there cultural challenges with these adoptions, or is it?
I don't really feel like there's, I mean, yeah, you have to know that people are going to, look at you different and, maybe judge you or judge your kids or something like that. But
yeah, sure.
as far as parenting, I mean, we're of the mind, we're going to treat all our, we don't treat them different. I think sometimes with our second group of kids, I mean, it's just different just because we've been parenting longer. It's not because we're treating them better or worse it's just we've gotten older that, like
You hopefully are a better parent 20 years later.
Hopefully.
I have my older daughters are like, if I'd have done that, and it's like, listen, I'm not the same parent that I was when I was 25.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that there's. No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just trying to think culturally. I mean, I don't know, the thing that comes to my mind, they love noodles. It's like, okay, y'all want noodles? Yeah, go for it. But I mean, and they're just still kind of mid to young teenagers, but I feel like we haven't had like any major issues as far as them kind of bucking against us as far as their, what I'm saying, like their
Right.
culture versus, well, you don't understand because
Right.
you're white and I'm Chinese, or our other one's Hispanic. I mean, they haven't voiced that to us, but I think it's more kind of how people see you
Yeah.
as a family and
Yeah.
like being in public or like, I guess, for instance, with COVID and, blaming, China for all of that. It's kind of like,
yeah.
okay, don't. I think I felt during that time a little bit more protective of my kids in that sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, no, don't
Yeah.
don't judge them for that.
Yeah, I think there's, there's people, use the word prejudice, but there's positive and negative prejudices. One of the ones I would come across a lot, and people are well-intentioned, but, they must be smart, right? And that's being smart's it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But that is a prejudice that you are placing on someone that may not be.
Yeah.
Now, adopted, and I didn't place that on him. But after a while, we realized that kid's smart.
Right.
The others are like me. Well, you got to spend it a couple of times to quite understand what you're not. But but I don't think we place that on him that you're from China, so you're going to be smart. No, you're
Just a
you're a
person.
child in the image of God.
Exactly.
And we all have our smarts and our non-smarts.
Yeah.
But what was I trying to say? One of the biggest difference a lot of people is when they're well-intentioned, they don't know how to ask. And a lot of times you'll hear this. It's like, do you have any children of your own? Like if a conversation comes up with an adopted child, they don't even know the race or ethnicity. They don't have to. The question is, do you have any children of your own?
These are mine.
These are mine.
Right.
They're all my own.
I have,
Right.
like I said earlier, we didn't have to go through a court proceeding here in the U.S. We just did voluntarily, just to affirm they were already U.S. citizens. So they were affirmed by the U.S. Department
Well,
of
it
State
helped them
and
out to get
China
an American birth
that they were
certificate.
right.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
we
We did
went
that.
through a formality through an illegal court proceeding in the U.S. as well. So we've had multiple countries and multiple judges, and obviously this is ordained by God, but these are our children. So I think people are intentioned well. They just don't know how to ask. They're like, so do you have any other children? And what of your own? What they're asking, do you have any biological?
Right.
And that's fine. I've learned over the years not to take that as they're being condescending or just not quite sure how to approach the
Right.
situation, because it is. And then when they find out, well, they don't even. I mean, literally, it was at one of my jobs just last month. Someone back in. Can I say it? Back in our other job, they like, oh, is your wife Chinese? Because you have 3 Chinese kids. They just, it's just a coworker
Yeah.
that just doesn't
Yeah.
even know. They knew that I had 3 Chinese kids. They honestly didn't know that they were adopted. They honestly thought that I had married a Chinese woman. So the experiences, I think, are different, and then how you view that is different. Like when I remember having our first for maybe a couple of years. I think we had adopted the second one already, and I'm behind a lady in the store, and she's of a different race of the child that's sitting in the basket. There's a lot of circumstances that could have been, but my first thought was not that this lady is, housekeeper or, she's not babysitting while the child's mom is at work. My very first thought was, this is a beautiful family.
Right.
And I almost said something to her, but she was, like, you have a beautiful daughter, but they were heading out, so I wasn't able to say that. But
Yeah.
it changes your perspective on when I see people of different races with each other. I don't automatically think that they're just watching over the child. I feel them. There's a family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with people say stuff. sometimes you just want to smack them upside the head because it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, so no, we won't get onto that. Did y'all go to the orphanage, or were they brought to you?
They were all brought to us, but we visited two of the orphanages.
I didn't go on one of them.
yeah.
I didn't go on one of the child. We had the option.
Because
How about
one of the
the
kids
tour?
wasn't doing well.
Tour later
So
that
you
evening when we
stayed
were done
back.
all day, and
Yeah.
one of them, that child was not doing very well. So I stayed back in the hotel with that child, and she actually went with one of the other families that was there and adopted, and they went to tour to see the orphanage.
Yeah.
Another child, we did get to go. We all went.
What was that like?
It was surreal because a couple of our kids were in foster care, so they didn't really spend a lot of the time there. So it wasn't that, oh my goodness, my child spent time there. So it wasn't really that for us because they hadn't really spent time there. But it was still just, just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Just to know. I mean, they didn't let us see a whole lot.
Probably get to
But
see
I mean,
the whitewashed part.
The parts, that we saw were clean and
We still saw stuff that we were like, that's not good.
I mean, it's just institutionalized care,
Right.
which
Right.
is not good for any kid.
No.
So it was. I guess I just remember it being heartbreaking and
Yeah.
just thankful that. And I don't like having the attitude or placing that on our kids that we're rescuing them in
Right.
a sense, because that's not really fair. I mean, in one sense, we are we're rescued by God, but, we felt a certain call and we wanted to add to our family, and it became almost like a mission to us. And,
Yeah.
and then this is a way that God has called us to serve Him in our family.
Yeah.
But we never wanted to have that attitude or place that attitude on our kids. Yes, we are rescuing them in a sense, but so it's heartbreaking, but
Yeah.
but just, I guess too, just being grateful that we were given the chance to, welcome a child into our family and love them and take care of them.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Karen Purvis. Is that a name you guys have heard of?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
lots of her trainings and books.
Yeah.
and-
So did you read The Connected Child?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So when she talks about going into the orphanage where those babies are and just being deathly quiet, it's just,
It's just heartbreaking.
yeah, because I learned that when I cry, nobody comes, and so they just stop crying. Yeah, it's oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have you adopted your oldest from China, and then the next one from China also, right?
No, our second one was domestic.
The second one was domestic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What was that process like versus the international part?
Well, that's a whole story in itself. So our agency, they also did domestic adoptions, and so this child, they were looking, lots of families waiting for a baby, but a lot of people, this child had some special needs, and some people were just not open to those needs, and so they started asking the international families, because you're pretty much, when you're going to adopt internationally, you're pretty much, signing up for some kind of medical need or special
Right,
needs.
right.
Just that's just the nature of it. But,
Yeah.
So our agency asked a couple other families and asked us too, and we had actually already started the process for another adoption in China. So we wanted, we had a biological boy and girl. We were going to adopt a boy and girl from China. So we had already begun that process to adopt a little girl from China, but we were not yet matched. Like he explained earlier, we were not
Right.
yet matched with our
Okay.
daughter.
Yeah.
When the agency approached us about our son, And yeah, it's a whole nother story. But at first, like, he was not for it. He's like, no, because we're doing China, and this is, we don't want to mess that up. But
I think the agency
tell it, yeah.
was like, we don't typically place more than, for bonding purposes, we won't place
oh, and we'd only had our first son for like 11
months, just shy of a year, but they typically would not place more than one child unless you were getting twins up front or multiples up front, another child within a year, just for bonding purposes.
Yeah, sure.
It was 11 months, so shy of 1 month, but they said, we'll make an exception if you adopt this child. But I was so concerned because where's my little girl? And I'm like, well, you can still go for her. You just put that application on the back burner, and you do. So I'm like, now we're adopting. we're going for another one that wasn't in the. I mean, God's got a.
Wow.
Yeah, so that one was a surprise.
Yeah.
It was a surprise.
So.
And he was a boy, you said. Now, how old was he when you guys
He was
got him?
9 weeks old.
Oh, wow. So just new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What was so you'd already done all the stuff, so there wasn't. I mean, was there a big difference as far as on the adoption side, as far as on with the agency and stuff? Was their process pretty much the same as far as paperwork, training, stuff like that, or was it totally different? Or
Well, just because it was such a short span of time, like we were already cleared as
Right.
far as the paperwork
Yeah.
and the training and all the police and background stuff. So there wasn't, it just
Right,
happened
that was-
so quick.
right?
It was with the same
And
agency.
the same
so
agency. So with him, yeah, it wasn't really a process or waiting because they needed
They needed somebody now.
we-
a placement and we were all ready to go.
Yeah.
So it
and we didn't have the
wasn't,
international paperwork.
yeah.
So, with him, everything was done, like she said, the background, and there was no
Yeah,
international
everything
paperwork to
was-
fill out. So it's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
would you like to adopt him?
Wow.
Like literally, it was like yes or no. And like,
How quickly did he come? I mean, from the time they asked, was this like days or weeks or?
A couple weeks because there was a little bit of a glitch that because we weren't foster certified
Yeah.
because we were doing international adoption. So there's each state is probably a little
Oh, yeah.
different, but there's a certification for
Yep.
foster care that we did not have. And so they couldn't place him with us right away. So there was like a couple week
yeah, I don't remember.
waiting, about a couple week,
It
like
wasn't-
kind of
it
waiting
wasn't-
period.
It wasn't very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not-
I
we didn't have
so-
much notice.
It was very, very quick.
Couple weeks.
When you're not prepared. It's like you're really not prepared.
Yeah, because you're thinking you're in the process, but you haven't been matched, so you're thinking this is probably 6 months or
Or another
something.
year
Yeah,
before we get
so-
our daughter. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm still in this process of I'm listening to what God is asking, but I'm still trying to direct it. So we had 2 biological children, like Anna said. We had a boy and a girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, and now I want a boy and a girl from China,
Yeah.
black hair, brown eyes.
Right.
And that's what we're going to be. We're going to be a family of 2 parents, and we're going to have 2 girls. One's white, one's Chinese, and 2 boys. And so I was open to the call. Well, after a while, I was open to the call of adoption. And then we're going to get our second Chinese girl, and then we're just going to be this family that I picked out.
Nice
I'm
and
still trying to-
symmetrical and-
right. Still,
Yeah.
the height of, I'm still trying to direct
Yeah.
where God is
Right.
calling.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and that's a sin on my part because that is, I mean, it blew up to like, was like, you cannot, this is not something that you can direct.
Right.
And then throwing the wrench, hey, you want to adopt somebody else? Well, that's not.
It's not
And then
my
so I
plan.
was just kind of worried what that was going to do for the little girl that we didn't have.
Right.
They're like, well, just put it on the back burner. I'm like, but then you're just saying, so adopt another one. Then, well, yeah, why not? I'm like, well, we're the ones raising them.
right.
So it
Yeah.
was, but it went fairly quick with that adoption,
Oh yeah.
and then at a certain point, they're like, okay, let's just try to match you for the Chinese adoption. Now I'm like, hold on.
So we adopted 3 kids within 2 years.
Wow.
So I know that's different, like for foster care. When
Yeah.
you get a sibling group, you can you can
Yeah.
get 2, 3, 4, 5 at once.
Right,
But
yeah.
that was quite a bit. Like
Yeah.
3 new kids within 2 years.
Wow.
constantly filling out paperwork,
Yeah, no doubt.
which
Yeah.
thankfully she did all of it. She just, I'd come home from work, she'd be like,
Part-time
just sign
job,
here.
Just sign here.
Sign.
Have the little post-it note thing. You
Still
saying
questioning
sign,
some of
sign.
that stuff she had me sign. I don't know if that-
There might be a life insurance
Yeah.
policy out there somewhere. You
I
don't
saw
know.
something that did not look like it was for China.
Yeah, well, to go back to your point where you feel like God's calling you, but you're kind of directing it yourself, right? So when we got the boys the first time, like I said, it was just a sudden thing, and so Saturday morning I was doing my Bible, and because my oldest girls technically they're my stepdaughters. In all intents and purposes, they're my daughters. I mean, I've never called them step. But they were 6 and 7 when Nikki and I met. And so Nikki and I had planned to get to a certain point, and then we were gonna have a biological child or two together. And so we were September 1st that year, we were gonna start this new insurance plan, and right away we were gonna start trying to have a baby. And we got them August 26th. And so I was like, no, I have a plan.
Yeah.
I have a plan, and this is not my plan, But foster care and adoption had always been something Nikki and I had talked about. I mean, I came from foster care, and so we were always going to do that. So when I sit down with my Bible that Saturday morning after we got them, and James was just the next book on my list, and I said, God, if you're calling me to do this, you have got to make it abundantly clear. And so I get down to verse 27, it's to care for widows and orphans is true religion. And so then I'm like, but I have a plan. I have this plan. And so I kept reading, and I get into chapter 4 where he says, do not say that I will go here and do this. Say if the Lord wills, right? And so that was a dramatic shift in my mental state at that point. Was it's not that it's bad to plan. It's not that it's bad to have goals and set goals and say, okay, I want to budget this, and I want to save for retirement and this, that, and the other thing. But to say, like, this is what I think, and I'm gonna plan towards this direction. But in my heart I'm gonna say, if the Lord wills, that's what's gonna happen. But if He changes it, then I'm not gonna have a crisis. And because that's where I was at. I mean, I was like, no. I had this plan, like, and so I don't know. When you said you were trying to, you had the call, but you were trying to make it work the way you wanted it to work. Right. I mean, I'm just there
They're
with
adopt
you.
the boy and then the girl, and then they're saying adopt this child. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And then you get the girl, and then it's like, now what? By that time, I had got the bug. Like, oh, we got to keep going.
Yeah, I was done.
She was, and so that's when you open up to what God's calling, and then you just go with it.
So it was a little bit, almost 2 years later when we adopted our last one.
Okay.
Because I was done, and we had 5, and the 3, adopted so close together, and the youngest 2 only 6 weeks apart. I was kind of.
And so
then we waited, and then he wanted to adopt more, and then that time I had to be in my Bible and have God say no.
So the two that are 9 weeks apart,
6 weeks.
6 weeks apart. How far apart did y'all get them?
Well, we got one domestically at 9 weeks old, and then she came because we had already started the paperwork for China, so she came, 9 months or maybe a year. So anyway, 3 within the 2-year period.
She's the one that is close to him.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's mind-boggling to think that we adopted a 9-week-old.
And then she came when she was 16 months old.
And when we adopted her,
she was 16 months, and the other one was 14 months,
so
14 and a half months.
So the one you adopt at 9 weeks, and then you adopt a 16-month, those are the 2 that are only 6 weeks apart.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
at this point, I was like totally open to adoption.
Yeah.
I mean, up till that point, it was like when I was on board, I'm listening to God, but I'm going to direct it this way. I'm going to listen to a certain point, and then I'm going to, because our plans are always better, right? Right. Yeah. And then by the time we were nearing the last adoption, I was like, I'm totally open to this. We're just going to just go for it. Let's just, the only thing I'm going to plan is that we're going to have another child in the family. Mm-hmm. By that time, I had freely opened to God. You just bring us the child. That's
so cool. Wow. And so how long has it been since the last adoption?
10 years, 10 and a half almost.
Dates, but yeah.
Wow.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how are things? I mean, is it you raised some bio kids and you've got these kiddos. Is there I mean, is it the same? Is it different? Is there huge differences? Is there little differences? What's the difference like for you guys on a day-to-day basis? I mean,
we have 4 teenagers right now, so some days I'm like, want to smack him, like, what in the world were we thinking? We thought this was a good idea.
What God asked.
Yeah, right.
I think our parenting is a little different because we have some space. So yeah, the jury's still out for me on whether raising teenagers and toddlers was harder, or having teenagers and adult kids is harder. I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I'm still in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Trying to think what you asked or where I was trying to go, but I mean, yeah, hopefully we've learned and improved in our parenting, but so yeah, I don't feel like I'm parenting. I mean, sometimes our older kids might see it differently, but I don't feel like we're treating our kids who came to us through adoption differently than our other kids. It's just we're just in a different place in life.
Yeah.
And I hope like some things I'm more concerned about, some things I'm more laid back about, or it's just.
Yeah.
And every kid's different too, and not necessarily just because they were adopted, but just the adopted kids have had different circumstances as far as their special needs and surgeries or learning things, and we've homeschooled all our kids, so that can look very different with each child, and but yeah, I haven't seen my kids differently. I mean, sometimes now that I think of it like they're teenagers, it's like, or as they're getting older, it's like, yeah, I don't know how, what this is maybe going to be like for you, because I'm not your biological mom and I don't have any history. I don't know, any of that. So as far as things as they get older and adults maybe get married and have kids or other medical issues that come up, we don't know their family history.
I was at a doctor's appointment a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, well, do you have anybody in your family that has this? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm adopted.
So that was constantly, because we had so many close together, constantly on any medical appointment. It's just so much, so that hits you sometimes. Just so much is like, I don't know, or unknown, or we have no history. So that
Yeah.
But I think the difference in raising is just in addressing the questions and being open with them about their circumstances. We've never hid. One of them, we waited until the appropriate age to give their full story, just to make sure they're at an age where it's understandable.
Yeah.
But it was, when Chinese New Year comes around, we try to have Chinese food. A couple of the kids love that.
Yeah.
And you see parts of that. As far as the upbringing, we homeschooled all of our kids, and so it was like, let's see which math works for you. What language program works for you? What history? I think with our biological kids, because we had already started adopting, so when they got a certain age, I think they did a short little study on maybe the Chinese culture, but that wasn't as in depth as maybe the adopted kids, right? Because they're from there. So it's like, so that might change it. That's just a matter of schooling, but that can change in the upbringing of the child, because we want them to understand where they came from.
Yeah.
I know why they like noodles. They taste good. But yeah, I think just being open with them.
Yeah.
They bring experiences too that your other children don't have, and you get to experience that with them, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ask a lot of my families this that come on because there's this stigma that you can't love this kiddo that didn't biologically come from you the same as your biological child, and so how do you answer that? I mean, you have to be asked. Surely you're asked that, right? Right.
Dude, you want to answer, or you want me?
Okay.
Like I said earlier, when I saw that lady and the child, and I felt they were family. I don't know. They could have been a family. Maybe they weren't. But after a while, that's the way you feel. I don't. When I approach my kids, outwardly, you see someone that doesn't look like me. But it's just like anytime we've met someone that was from a foreign country, I think immediately we start running very, very rapidly through our mind. Oh, what the food's different, their culture's different. What's so different? And we put this there's already these questions we have about that person. Like maybe we just met them because they're visiting a friend. And, they're from a different country, and you're like, they're so vastly different than us, and those things run through our mind. Well, every single time I'm in front of my kids, I don't see that. That was probably initially there, but that went by the wayside. I see a child that's my kid that's either obeying or disobeying, or we're just having a conversation. I can look at them and say, oh, they're Chinese or they're Hispanic, but there's no difference in how I'm responding to them. They're a child.
Yeah.
They're no different than I am.
Yeah.
God created us all.
Yep.
We're all His children.
For me, I think I'm thankful for the training we had and like the bonding, and maybe it's. I think it is different for women a little bit because God created us different, right? But and I had carried 2 children, so I think I was maybe more aware of like the bonding or the need for bonding, and I would say, in one sense, some of it came right away automatically, and in other ways it did take a while, just because. Not because I didn't love them any less or wanted to love them any less or treat them any differently, but it was still just a process.
Yeah.
Because I know that not everybody that adopts is able to have a biological child, but I did have that experience, and so that came with me. And so I feel like, I did have to be. I don't feel it anymore now because we've had all these years together.
Long, yeah.
So, but for some more than others, it was definitely a process.
Sure. I mean, there is this thought out there that that you just and I had this mom on a few weeks ago, and she was like, it's not my love for each child is different, but she has bio kids and she has adopted kids, and the love is different, but the amount isn't different. It's just how this child and I interact is different from how this child and I interact. The amount is not in question. It's just they're just a different person, and they like to do this and that, and I like to do this and that, or whatever. But they're all your kids, and you don't love these more than those or whatever. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that think, and as a matter of fact, that lady that I had on, she'd had one kiddo, and then she'd had a really hard time getting pregnant again, and she had it fixed in her mind that she couldn't love a child that wasn't from her womb the same as and as much as a child from her womb. So she was really kind of she kind of pushed back on it for quite some time, then God said, no, you need to adopt. And so she did. And then she was like, okay, it's, that's not a real thing. Like, I can love this child as much as this child. This child I had in my tummy, and this one I didn't, but they're still both my kids. There's not a difference in love there. The relationships are different with each kid. Your relationship with your bio kids is different.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
For sure.
And so the same is true for your kiddos that you've adopted. They're still your kids. Like, you still love them.
I've had some coworkers politely ask that, and depending on where you're from, this may be a circumstance, but I said, but you're not related to your husband. Right? Some states maybe, but but I said, you love your spouse. They were not biologically. Now I understand your spouse, husband or wife, is a different relationship than your children. But the point was, you came into a relationship with someone not like you.
Yeah.
It's got different likes, different dislikes, and you love them immensely. These children that you bring into adoption are different. You're going to different circumstances, but you're going to love them immensely.
Yeah.
It's never. You walk through the paths that they walk through. Our 3 kids just love Chinese food. So you just love it too. But you nurture that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our Hispanic child does not like Hispanic food. Mexican food. I'm like, what on earth?
Really?
Come on. You gotta like it because I want to have that for dinner.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we've kind of weaved through the conversation, but how has your faith guided you through this journey? What does that look like? I mean, you talked about how, him kind of pushing and changing your plan, but other than that, what has your faith been like through this journey?
So you have to have faith. You have to have
I was going
faith.
to
Sure.
say that first.
You-
I don't know
yeah.
how you do it without God.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not. I'm not going to stand here. I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy. There's a lot of challenges from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of times, they've got a medical need or something. Back of your mind, it's so easy to just bring that temptation in. Well, if I hadn't adopted them, I wouldn't be in this circumstance, right? It's like, no, that's not the path you should be taking.
Mm.
God called you to adopt them. So God has called you to be in this circumstance.
Mm.
Just like God has called you to be in certain circumstances with your biological children as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was definitely, for us, because of our faith, a very strong calling that, we wanted more kids, but this was something that God, that it would be a sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
that God wanted us to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the support around you in your community? Did you have some things that were really impactful and helpful, or were there things that you wished you would have had that you didn't have? What was your support mechanisms like through these adoptions?
I felt like we had quite a bit of support, because I think I mentioned earlier there was just the homeschool community we were in. There was a lot of people adopting kids, especially from China during that time, or people that had adopted, or just close friends that had adopted domestically. So I feel like I was kind of surrounded by it in that sense. And so I would say overall, like, our church family at that time, that we were pretty supported and loved on, as far as like them, practical things, like them bringing us meals when we came home from China. And like one time we were all really, really sick, and people just kept bringing us meals, or just, the younger one that was a surprise, they just basically threw us like this huge baby shower, because we didn't
Weren't
have
planning
any
for that
time
one. Yeah.
to prepare.
Yep.
Or, and so I feel like during those years, our church family really, and then we've had kids that have had a lot of surgeries, major surgeries, and so I feel like we were pretty well, we had good family support, and our church family definitely loved on and supported. Yeah, without that, I don't know how it would have been even harder, because it's still hard, and you still, even when you have support, I think sometimes you can just feel kind of alone, or when you're having those hard days or weeks or months or years, I think, at least for me, sometimes you could feel guilty. It's like, well, I signed up for this, and so I just have to deal with it by myself.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like we had, a good amount of support over the years.
That's good.
And again, without that, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would definitely feel like you were drowning, or just like, oh, I just can't do this.
That's good. I mean, that's good. I mean, there's it's good that you had that support. Like you mentioned bringing meals, like, so many times, at church, mom gets pregnant, there's a baby shower, there's this, there's that. Mom goes to the hospital, has a baby, comes home. The church does meals for several days or a week or two or whatever. And so many times, foster mom shows up to church on Sunday with a new kiddo, and it's like, hey, you're doing a good thing. And it's like, hey, they could use the same kind of support mechanism.
Exactly. Just because it's an 8-year-old doesn't mean that you're not drowning.
Yeah.
With that kid and whatever issues in their adjustment. Oh yeah, it doesn't. It should be treated the same.
Yeah.
In that sense, that new parents with any new child, no matter their age or whatever, needs that support for sure.
That's why the placement package is so
exactly.
important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if someone was gonna adopt, I'm sure you had this conversation. What does that conversation look like? What do you tell people when they're like, no, I think I might adopt?
Recently, I don't even think I had a chance to tell you about it, but recently I was with my good friend in a store that also has adopted kids, and this sweet gal, I mean, she was, just asking, I think, just kind of innocent, questions, not, curious. Not, you can tell when people are kind of rude, or they're just honestly trying to figure out how to word things. But I think she just kept saying a couple of times, like, well, you all are just heroes.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, no, we're not. It's like, I didn't. Yes, and like I said earlier, in one sense, we did rescue them from whatever, but in that sense, I did not. I was only, for us, walking in obedience to God, and because we honestly wanted to parent more children, and but it's like, no, I am not. It's by God's grace that I'm surviving each day,
right?
And I am not, and you never want to put that on your kids or any kid, like they have to look at us as some kind of
savior.
It's like, no, that's Jesus is the only savior,
right?
So we kind of had to. Sometimes you still have to kind of deflect that from people. Yeah. Like, I'm not. I mean, do I think more people should adopt? Yeah, probably, because I think in general, as a culture, we're pretty selfish in that sense, like just wanting all the toys or the things or the earthly things when we could sacrifice through, doing foster care or even just helping a family or even something short term. Not everybody's called to adopt, and I get that
for sure.
Should more people be involved? Absolutely, but I'm not a hero.
Right.
I'm just a regular person who was walking in obedience to God and just wanting to add through our family and through adoption. But it's not because I have it all figured out, or because it was easy, because it is, and I will tell people, it is hard. Yeah. You absolutely need to be on the same page as your spouse. You need to have support around you and really, really think and pray about it, because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I've had people ask me, and it's like, like Anna said, it's extremely difficult. And I'm not a hero. I mean, there's 4 times in my life I listened to God. Out of all the other times when he told me to do something, I didn't do it, right? Could have been last night. Yeah. And it's like, but I opened up, and there's a blessing in that. But people, I try to be practical too. It's like I've had people like she said, you've got to be on the same board, and I've had people. The husband was told my wife doesn't want to adopt. I'm like, then don't get into it yet. Then you need to sit down. You need to talk. You need to pray about it. If you go to church, talk to a pastor, get some counseling. You cannot walk into this by yourself if the other partner is not in on it. This is not something you need to be going down the path. But and a lot of questions I've had is like, well, I don't know how they're going to turn out. Now I understand with ultrasounds and medical tests and blood tests, when mom's pregnant, we can find out certain diseases or certain circumstances their child's going to be born into. But for the vast majority of pregnancies, we have no idea how the child's going to turn out.
Yeah.
When you adopt a child that's already there, there might be some other things you can't see or understand yet, but for the most part, you already understand what they were born with.
Yeah.
You actually have a little bit more information when you adopt than when you
just get pregnant.
So I'm not saying not to have biological children, but what I would say is don't get wrapped up in the fact that you don't understand everything about that adopted child. You don't understand anything about the biological children.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it. Man, if everybody did. So I was sharing this morning with my networking group the numbers, and I mean, over 1,000 kids come into care in Region 1, which is the whole. So it's the 26 counties of the Panhandle plus all the counties down around Lubbock, and man, there is. I mean, 22% of the kids in foster care stay in the county that they're from, right? So that they're not. I mean, it could be Randall County to Potter County, but it could be Amarillo to Houston or Dallas or San Antonio or Lubbock or whatever. And so then the need is tremendous. I mean, locally, internationally, there's a huge need, and and more people need to do it as well. But the need to support families that are doing it is equally important. And so, a lot of people that I talk to feel like people don't care. What I have found is that it's not that people don't care; it's that they don't know what to do, and so they just don't do anything. And when I mean, we've got a whole list of volunteers that said, I want to help with that. I think that what you're doing is important, and it benefits families, and so I want to get involved. And we've had a number of people who have heard me speak or seen this or seen that and gone and gotten licensed because of that and stuff like that. But on the whole, I think people do care. They just don't know what to do, and so when they find out what's there that they could do, maybe it's serving with POCN, maybe it's working with Amarillo Angels or fostering independence or whatever. But there are so many ways to do things, and so we need that support, and it does feel lonely when you're walking this path and people don't. They don't support you. They don't know what to do, and so, So, any other closing thoughts? You got anything you want to say?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Well, I think you said a second ago, just do it. But it's, just know. I think education is important, and know that it's going to be hard. And again, should more people do it? Absolutely. Should everybody do it? Not necessarily. And I think you do need to be careful, and then it's okay to I think in a sense use wisdom and be protective of the kids that you already have in your home. Like, I mean, I know everybody's different, and I don't want to come across as like judging anybody, but for us, like we weren't at that time, we weren't gonna like adopt teenagers when we had young kids, or bring in foster care teenagers or something like that. And people do. And again, I'm not like judging, but I think you just really need to be, like I said, use wisdom and prayer and that it's okay to say, yes or no to certain things. And again, not that we're just picking and choosing, because even with a biological child, you don't know if they're going to get diagnosed with leukemia when they're 10 years old. We don't know the future, but I think it's okay to be careful and to use wisdom and make sure you definitely have a support system, because you'll need it for sure. Definitely. But should more people help? Absolutely, because there are those people who are in the trenches. And and if a foster family is fostering or adopting, an 8-year-old or a 14-year-old, they absolutely need a lasagna dinner just as much as a mom that's just given birth. And or like, hey, how can I hang out with your kids so you can just like go sit at a coffee shop and get a cup of coffee? Or just, I think, like you said, people don't know, because I think they don't understand that in a lot of ways it's the same and we don't treat our kids differently, but it is, in other ways it is different. And you have taken on kind of this extra thing, and you still need, even today, we still need, I feel like we still need support, or have those people that we can call or talk to that get it or that understand.
I would say if you're considering adoption, for one, sit down with your spouse. Definitely have to be on the same page. Talk to other people that have adopted, whether that child was domestic or international. Yes, they come with different experiences, but the adoption was brought a child into their home. So kind of get their perspective. I think majority of parents are going to tell you there's good and bad days, right? Same as your biological children. You're just walking down a different path. It's not so much now as they're older, but it seemed like when they were younger, it's like almost every day you'd meet somebody new, or somebody would, I don't think we really experienced a lot of negative comments, but you'll get the stares, the store. People look at you. It's going to come with the territory. That's going to be, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that's something you need to understand too. It doesn't matter the race of the adoptive family, especially if you bring a different race in. You're going to get the looks or the questions from both family members and then others, probably the rest of your life. I mean, when people see our 3 Chinese kids together, I'm not quite sure, but more than likely, when someone just sees them, they're thinking, oh, that's a Chinese family. Can't wait to meet their parents. And then we walk up. It's like, so, and it's just something you're going to deal with. But it's a good conversation starter. But just be open. I think we need to be open to, if God was calling us to have biological children, that to me was scary. That was really scary. It's like I didn't know what I was doing. But I think overall, in people, like she said earlier, they call you heroes. I think I'm more blessed than they are, honestly. But I listened to what God asked me to do, and that was the blessing. Blessing was you're going to walk through some hard times. That is such a blessing. The 4 kids left yesterday to go on a missions trip. Now, we have just yesterday, last night. But no, they were out last night. But we have been away from them for a couple of days on just a few occasions.
When we went to China, we left them. And
but we didn't have all of them. And we left them a couple of years ago.
We did a few trips, like a week long, where we've left them.
Anniversary and stuff. But we've never had all 4 of them go together
without
somewhere.
us.
And it is
very weird.
Very weird. I mean, I went to work last night, and I'm like, this is wrong.
Something's off.
So why is it quiet? You know, when it's quiet in the house, you start running around like, okay, what happened? But it's like there were nights I came home this morning, and it was just this weird feeling as I was driving in the driveway, because I know I was going to walk in the house and they weren't going to be there. It's like, God's asking me to do. Asked them to do this week, so you support it, and anxiously waiting for them to get back.
Right? Yeah.
They just
you
started.
love your kids. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and just sharing your heart behind adoption and some stories and things. Hopefully, maybe somebody listening has been thinking about it or is interested in some way or something like that. And so, we do better in community. I say that a lot on this podcast. And part of the
Absolutely.
yeah, part of the reason for we live a busy life, and so through the podcast, our hope is to help facilitate feeling more part of that community. And so I really, really, really appreciate you guys taking the time and coming. And so some of you guys, you guys won't know, but Anna's group, it's American Heritage
Oh,
Girls?
American Heritage Girls.
Yeah.
Yes.
So American Heritage Girls did this thing that these kids just love it. But their girls sit down and wrote letters and drew pictures and stuff that we put in our placement packages. And those kiddos, they love it.
Yeah.
I mean, they
We'll do it
really
again.
do.
Yeah.
And so just in case if you don't know, we do placement packages. When kiddos come to a family, they typically will come with the clothes on their back. Sometimes not even that. I did a placement package one time. This little girl came to the foster family with the diaper she had on and one sock, and that was all she had. And so we're taking her taking them clothes and diapers and things. And so placement packages across the 26 counties, we deliver them, and so. We've done, I think, 81 so far this year, which last year we did 80. So we're probably going to double what we did last year, which is amazing. We can't do that. We can't get to where every kiddo gets a placement package without supporters. And so we need placement package partners. Those are folks that just give monthly to the organization. $100 buys us all the clothes for one placement package, and $50 buys us a case of diapers. $10 a month buys us one outfit a month. And so if you're interested, you can go to our website, panhandleorphan.org/donate, and get set up. We also have Trade Wars that's coming up in October. It's our big annual fundraiser. So you can go to our website and go to Trade Wars and check that out. We'd love to have teams and sponsors and all the things that it takes to run a nonprofit and to have a fundraiser. We'll have a link to that down in the show notes as well. Thanks again to Jennifer over at Belmar Bakery for her sponsorship, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks again, you guys, for coming on.
Thanks for
Welcome.
having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.